Welcome back. Democrats returning to Capitol Hill this week. They are facing a looming October 31st deadline to come up with an agreement on their spending bills. It is unlikely we will see a vote on the 31st. They want to pass the bipartisan infrastructure package and the reconciliation bill before Biden's upcoming trip to Europe at the end of the month. I spoke with Congressman Ro Khanna yesterday, and he pretty much moved the goalposts on when that vote might take place. Do you think you're going to get a vote on October 31 for this?
We will get a vote before the end of the year. I'm hopeful it will be by October 31st.
Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman, House Intelligence Committee and House Ways and Means Committee member Brad Wenstrup. Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. Your thoughts on where we stand with this spending package? I know that the Democrats are trying to convince Senators Manchin and Sinema to go along with the package. How do you see things?
Well, no matter how you slice it, what they're proposing is it's not a Build Back Better plan, I can tell you that. It's a Build Back Broke plan. Because even if they cut the spending, which I think would appease Senator Manchin, you're still going to have taxes in there. You're still going to have programs in there that sound good and are supposedly going to end at a more quick time than we would expect. But as Ronald Reagan said, these last forever. You never get rid of them. And so these are going to be a long-term problem. You know, I think as we look at bills, we should say, does this make Americans more free? And will the next generation say thank you? And I don't think we're seeing that here. We're still going to be contending with inflation, unemployment. We got products sitting at ports. The taxes make us less competitive. You've talked about supply chain. We cannot begin to resolve our supply chain problem if we are not competing globally, which we did with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And since that time, we had no inversions. You know, they put these programs in place that sound good, but in many cases, they do more harm than good, and they never go away. And you just look at right now with this tax credit for children. I had a guy, a union guy, he's a lineman for a rural electric company. He said, I don't want the tax credit. I want to be able to afford things at the store. I want to be able to fill my car with gas. I would like to treat my family to a steak once in a while. This administration owns all of this, and where they're headed is just going to be more and will compound the problems that we currently face. It will not solve them, and we've seen that. There's already been too much spending. Well, it's time to rail it in.
Yeah, Congressman, it's pretty extraordinary to me that the issues that we talk about every day, the supply chain issues, inflation is a problem, and most importantly, I think, the fact that people don't want to go back to work. I mean, you know, I was just at a hotel last week, and the manager said to me, we can't get the people on the job to come back because they feel like they were making more money from the checks they were getting from government, and now we're going to throw more checks at them. How is it possible that the Democrats can get away with this when we're already seeing evidence that it's having this unintended consequence?
You know, I don't know if they really believe what they're doing is right or what their purpose is. You know, I know that Maxine Waters even said at one point, you mean to tell me Americans are staying home because they get more to stay at home? And the answer is yes. That is what they are doing. Yeah. Americans aren't stupid. Wow. And when you ask them to put in 40 hours rather than sit at home and get a check, it's pretty tough to compete with that.
Or, by the way, maybe they just have a second gig, right? They could have a side gig and say, you know, make more money that way. So it's not necessarily that they want to stay home, but they don't want to go back to the job that they had because they can make more money elsewhere. I got to move on to China. Congressman, you've been so good on this issue. Now we've got these reports that China tested a nuclear-capable missile in August. It caught U.S. intelligence apparently by surprise. The Pentagon not commenting directly on this report so far, but spokesperson John Kirby says that, quote, we have made clear our concerns about the military capabilities China continues to pursue, capability that not only increased tensions in the region and beyond. Congressman, your thoughts on the nuclear capabilities and this nuclear missile test that we are reportedly hearing about?
Yeah, I mean, hypersonics, for those that are following all this, hypersonics has kind of been the space race of this generation compared to when we competed with Russia to get to the moon. It's not a new concept. And, it's to me, it's not a huge surprise, I would guess, as people are reporting that happened sooner than expected. But the bottom line is this. America, he can say we've made it clear to China. Does he really think they care? I mean, after what the world just witnessed from this administration in Afghanistan, do you think they feel threatened by some kind of verbal attack from this administration or a letter from this administration? They don't. The only way we're going to have peace in this world is to be able to deter through dominance, and that's the United States deterring through dominance. Peace through strength, as Ronald Reagan said. I think it all started really when we stopped the shuttle. When that shuttle used to go up whenever we felt like it, that showed the world something about America's strength. And then when we quit even being able to go to the space lab without the Russians, we set the tone, unfortunately, and that happened under the Obama administration. And yet, for the Democrats today, they think the biggest threat to America is climate change. Well, and if it is, guess who's the biggest polluter, or one of the biggest polluters, is China. China is threatening Taiwan. We know what they did in Hong Kong. We've got to help Taiwan. We've got to show our strength. And we need to be resolute about it and let the world see what we are doing. We need to dominate for the sake of peace.
No, we can't even get Joe Biden to ask Xi Jinping about the origins of COVID-19. So, I mean, that's where we are in terms of Joe Biden pushback on China's aggressiveness. And, of course, the CCP has become more aggressive than ever before and continuing to steal intellectual property as well. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much. We know you're on it for sure. We will talk soon. Brad Wenstrup joining us this morning.